In this episode, I'll talk about the gear that I use for live streaming.
AdoramaTV presents Exploring Photography with Mark Wallace, where you will learn innovative techniques on shooting a wide range of photography. Here's your host, Mark Wallace.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Exploring Photography. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, today I'm going to be talking about gear, specifically gear that I use for streaming live workshops to the world. And the reason I'm doing this is a lot of people have been asking me how they can do this for their community center, their nonprofit organization, their church, their theater, etc. Now, the thing that excites me about this system is that it is very affordable, it's very easy to use, and it's very portable. We can take it on the road and throw it on an airplane and do all kinds of things. And it's not going to break the bank. So affordability was a big issue for us because we didn't have a lot of money to spend, and I know you don't either. Now, I'm saying that talking to institutions, not individuals. And so when I talk about the prices of some of these things, you might be a little bit surprised at how expensive it is. But when you compare what we have here to something like the TriCaster, which is up into the $10,000 and $20,000 range, then a $1,000 and $2,000 range is a very good bargain. So the entire thing runs on the heart of this right here. This is the Blackmagic ATEM television studio. And what that allows us to do is take HDMI cameras, very affordable cameras that are several $100s, $300 or $400 and up, and connect them to a system. And so the thing that really drew us to this was we were able to use a lot of gear that we already owned. We didn't have to go out and buy a bunch of new cameras. We didn't have to go buy a bunch of new computers and things. We just used what we already had. And so we were able to get into the live switching and streaming for about $1,000, which is really nice. So I'm going to walk you through some of the components here in a second, but first I'm going to show you the usability of this system. And so what I have is, we have Stunt Pig doing a fake news conference. He's going to talk about how bacon is bad for your health and the health of pigs. So that's his big announcement. Over here on this screen over here, this is an actual Mac Mini computer. I have something called Media Express that allows me to record what's coming from my Blackmagic Design television studio as an H.264 file, and it's ready to go to the web instantly as soon as we're done. So it's really nice. So I'm going to start the recording, and then what we'll be able to do is, as we're recording this, I'll be able to switch and do some different things and show you how it works. So the heart of this is this right here. This is the ATEM software control, and what this allows you to do is with a computer, it doesn't matter if it's a Mac or a PC, and it doesn't have to be a high-end computer, it can be a very affordable computer. You plug this computer into the Blackmagic Design television studio with a network cable, and then you can switch between cameras and media. And so what we have on this screen over here are all the different cameras. So we have a wide shot, we have an empty spot where we don't have a camera plugged in, we have an extreme close-up, we have a medium shot, we have a computer, another empty shot. So we could have two more cameras plugged in, but we don't. Then we have two media slots, and those are used for lower thirds and stills and things like that. And so that's how I'm putting my Stunt Pig addresses the nation lower third over Stunt Pig. And so it has the ability to do lower thirds and layovers and downstream and upstream keying. All that kind of stuff. So if you're a video junkie, you know what all that stuff is. If you're not, what it means is you can do green screen and normal video stuff. And so the ease of use, we're using a lot of volunteers in our shows for Mark Wallace Live, and so we need to be able to train people really quickly. Well, watch how easy this is to use. If I want to go between the wide shot, well, that's shot 1. I just hit the 1 and the space bar, and now 1 is live. If I want to go to my extreme close-up of Stunt Pig, that's 3. So I just hit 3 and the space bar, and boom, it's live. If I want to go to the computer, I hit 5 because that's what that is. And if I want to dissolve, instead of hitting space, I can hit the Enter key, and that goes up there, and it's pretty cool. And so you can just switch very quickly between shots just by using a keyboard. And if you can see numbers, then you can switch between things. And adding different things on screen is about that easy. So it's very easy to use and learn. It takes about 10 minutes. Over here, we have a different system. This is a system that allows us to take the output of our studio through an HDMI cable and stream it to the world. So we're using live stream to do this. You can use Ustream, Livestream, or any streaming service. And a lot of those, specifically Ustream and Livestream, are free. So you can get packages that you can stream for $0. So that's really nice. So to understand how all of these connections work, let me show you the components. So audio comes in as an analog sound. So it's coming in through this soundboard, and you can use any soundboard. And so we have microphones. Normally my wireless mic that I have on would be plugged into this. This comes out of the soundboard in to this converter right here. This is an analog to digital converter. This is a Behringer UltraMatch Pro. So it takes an analog signal, converts it to digital, and that then goes into this. This has all the preview screens, and then we're using right now a Blackmagic SDI monitor. But you can use any HDMI television, so you don't even need this. You can just use a television you already own to do this. Up here, this is just a drawer and a blank, so that doesn't really have anything to do with it. So let's go around the back, and I'll show you the controls and how they all work. So we used a really nice anvil case because we're going to be throwing this on an airplane and traveling around. You don't need that. You can use a Gator case or an SKB case, something that's not as expensive. And then what I did was I used Nutric connectors to take the back of all of the different inputs and just bring them out here so it's really easy to connect things. Now back here you can see we have 2 different HDMI inputs that go to the television studio. You can actually have up to 4, but 2 of them are switchable. So you can have 2 HDMIs or 2 SDIs or 4 HDMIs and no SDIs. And so we decided we wanted to have SDI cables. The reason for that is, and oh, by the way, this is the Mac Mini. I mounted that in this. It's actually bolted on so we can just carry it around in the case. So you don't have to have that. You can have any kind of laptop computer if you want. We also added a power strip down here for power. And so that's something, again, if you want a custom built system, you can do that. You don't have to. But the one thing that we did discover was that we were very excited about using HDMI cameras because they're very affordable. If you use Canon Vixias or something else that's similar to that, it's really nice. In fact, we have this guy right here. This is a Vixia HF-R30. This is only a couple $100. I think it's less than $300 for this. And this is using an HDMI cable straight into the television studio, and it works just great. But if you go over about 6 feet, maybe 10 feet with an HDMI cable, it just doesn't work. We tried all kinds of different cables, really high-end cables and cables of all types and lengths, and what we found, it was very consistent. About 10 feet was the max that we could use. So what we decided to do was to use the SDI connections instead. Well, the problem was we don't have SDI cameras, but there's a solution for that. So over here you can see that we're using Canon Vixia cameras. So this is a HF-G20. It's about $1,000 for this camera, and we have an HDMI output. And the output goes into this, and this is what I love. This is a Blackmagic design mini converter. It's $280, about $280, and it converts HDMI to SDI. And SDI will allow you to run cables up to about 300 feet or so, and so you can really have long cable runs. This one, though, requires that you plug it into an outlet, a power outlet. But the advantage is it allows you to plug in analog audio, or it can also take the embedded audio from your HDMI connection and send it right through the SDI. And so all your audio goes through one cable. All your audio, all your video goes just through one cable over hundreds of feet. There's another type of converter that we're using. It's the same thing. It's the HDMI to SDI converter, but it runs on a battery, so you don't have to plug this into a wall outlet. Now the nice thing about that is if you have a roaming camera or something that moves around a lot, that really helps out. So we have those, and then if you look over here, we also have a laptop that's sending out something through Keynote or PowerPoint, and we're just sending out HDMI, and it again is going to a mini converter, and that's converting the output to an SDI connection. So your computer that your presenter is using can be hundreds of feet away from your television studio, which is really, really nice. And then over here, you can see that we have this big screen right here. And what this big screen is doing is it's the program out. And so your talent, or you can put these up in your control booth, whatever, you can see exactly what's going out to either your live video feed or your live streaming. And I forgot to mention, you can use this in a live event setting. And so if you've got big screens in a church or an event hall, you need to put live television up there and switch between cameras and presentations, you can use this for that too. And you can record all of that stuff at the same time and stream it at the same time. So come on over here, I'll show you one other thing that we learned about that really got us into all of this, and that's this little card right here. This is the Blackmagic Design Intensity Pro card. What that allows you to do is to input an HDMI cable. This one right here is an output going to the TV. But you can take an input of an HDMI cable and then send that signal to a streaming service like Ustream and Livestream, and that's how we're getting the signal from that system with the switcher into this computer. The reason we're using this big computer right here is when you're sending something out to Livestream or to Ustream, it is really, really CPU intensive. And so what we found is we really needed a beefy system to be the last link to go out to the live system. So if you're going to be streaming live to the internet, you really need to make sure that you have a system that has a lot of horsepower, because if you don't, you're going to start running into some lag errors and things like that. And you also want to have a high-speed connection. Well, that's how all of this works. Now, I know that's a really high-level overview of this entire system, but what we wanted to do is just give you an overview of what we're using, because we were getting so many questions. So if you want to know what each individual piece of gear costs, what it is, the specs, all of that stuff, well, you can just zip over to the Adorama Learning Center, or you can look at the comment section if you're on YouTube, or the description right underneath the video here, and you can see every single cable component, all the different things that we're using listed out. And so you can click on each one of those and get more information. And of course, all of this stuff is available to purchase at Adorama.com. Well, thank you so much for joining me this week. I know it was a lot of gear in this episode, but people have been asking over and over, and so we thought we'd take some time to tell you exactly what we're using. Now, if you want more information on how we're doing each of these things, switching or maybe converting our audio over to digital or mixing or whatever, let us know. You can do that by adding a comment to the comment section on YouTube. If you follow me on Facebook, you can ask me questions there. Or if you're on the Adorama Learning Center watching this, there are comment sections below. We just really, really want to hear from you to know exactly what kind of information you need. Well, thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again next time. Well, today I'm going to break one of my rules, and that is, instead of talking about principles of photography, I'm going to talk about gear. This is specific. And so we have some cameras, and I'll show you the entire setup, but you can see that this is rambling and not making any sense. So I'm like, man, where am I going with this?
If you are ready to upgrade your system, we want to help. We can buy your used photo and video equipment, and we'll give you an honest, fair offer. Visit Adorama.com for more information.